Oleg Lyalin had carefully considered his next move, and about 18 months into his role with the Soviet mission in London, he entered a public phone booth ready to leap into the unknown. He was fed up with being overlooked for work promotions and wanted a new beginning, one he was prepared to trade KGB secrets for. At 32, Lyalin's career prospects at the KGB appeared bleak, despite his operational value as a prospective assassin and saboteur. A big part of his workplace qualms was the realization that the Soviet agency regarded him as unstable, and perhaps more worryingly, open to compromise by the likes of MI5, Britain's domestic intelligence service. Lyalin was an absent father and a bad husband, and his marriage was crumbling under the weight of his unending pursuit of mistresses. London's thriving party scene in the late 1960s had enabled his bad behaviour, but he had always been predisposed to seeking out excitement and circumventing rules. His personality was unsuited to the rigid Soviet practices under which he was working, and perhaps, if he had grown up in a more permissive society, somewhere in the West, instead of a small city in southern Russia, Lyalin would never have been a government functionary. He would likely have found greater success working as an actor or a TV presenter, because he was a bit of a character, as one of his work colleagues would attest. He was tall and vivacious, with striking blue eyes, enjoyed living freely and recklessly, and was unwilling to shun the advances of beautiful women who found him humorous and very attractive. But he figured that British intelligence officials would overlook such personality flaws in return for credible secrets. And in September 1970, he activated his plan to broker a deal with them. He dialed 999 from a phone box in Highgate, North London, presumably hoping that through an anonymous call to the emergency services he would be referred to the police, and, ultimately, MI5. Whether intentionally or from nerves, he failed to specify what he was after when the call was answered, and instead asked to be connected to someone knowledgeable about the Soviet Union. The operator took a literal interpretation of his request and offered him the contact details for the Soviet embassy. Lyalin quickly hung up. It was not until 7 months later that he would try again to reach MI5. By then, however, it was virtually impossible to separate Lyalin's truth from his lies, and to distinguish his real identity from his double life. MI5's counter-espionage officers had been warned about his type, a supposedly disgruntled KGB officer claiming to be on a mission to betray their motherland. That warning had emerged 10 years earlier via their friends at the CIA, and had gone on to reframe completely their thinking about the honesty and motivations of Soviet volunteers.